In the heart of Eldoria, nestled between whispering woods and silent mountains, lay the small village of Oakhaven. Here, life moved to the rhythm of the forge, where I, Alara, spent my days under the tutelage of Master Boren, the finest blacksmith in the realm. My world was one of soot, sweat, and the endless clang of hammer on steel. It was a simple life, a good life, or so I thought. I had no idea that the ordinary hammer I held, worn smooth by my grip, was destined for something far greater than shaping horseshoes and mending plows. It all began on the Day of the Fading Sun, an ancient festival marking the anniversary of the Great Covenant. Centuries ago, our ancestors forged a pact with the ethereals, celestial beings who wove magic into the very fabric of our world. This covenant, sealed within the heart of a mountain at a place called the Celestial Forge, ensured peace and prosperity. But on this day, a tremor, deep and unsettling, shook the land. The sky, once a brilliant tapestry of sunset hues, turned a sickly, bruised purple. Panic erupted in the village square as the enchanted, ever-lit lamps flickered and died, plunging us into an unnerving twilight. Master Boren, his face etched with a gravity I'd never seen before, rushed to the forge. "The covenant is broken," he rasped, his voice barely a whisper against the rising wind. He pointed a trembling finger toward the mountain peak, where a faint, erratic pulse of dark energy now throbbed. The elders spoke of a prophecy. When the covenant shattered, only a tool of humble creation, wielded by a hand of honest labor, could mend the fracture. For generations, it was dismissed as a children's tale. But now, as fear crept through Oakhaven, the tale felt chillingly real. That night, sleep offered no escape. I was haunted by visions of the Celestial Forge, not as the legends described it, a place of radiant light, but as a cavern of fractured crystal and dying embers. I saw a spectral hammer, glowing with an inner fire, striking a shattered altar, and with each strike, light returned to the world. I awoke in a cold sweat. The image burned into my mind. The hammer in my dream. It felt familiar. It felt like my own. I dismissed it as a fever dream, a product of a panicked mind. The next day, the world felt lesser. The crops in the fields drooped. The river ran sluggish and gray, and a palpable sense of loss hung in the air. Master Boren was inconsolable, convinced our world was unraveling. While he consulted with the village elders, I returned to the forge, seeking solace in the familiar routine. I picked up my hammer, its weight a comforting presence in my hand. As my fingers wrapped around the worn wooden handle, a faint, silvery light traced the grain. I dropped it in shock. The light faded instantly. Hesitantly, I picked it up again. This time, I focused, channeling the memory of my dream. The silvery light returned, brighter this time, humming with a low, resonant energy. It wasn't just a tool of steel and wood anymore. It felt alive. Rushing to find Master Boren, I showed him what I'd discovered. His eyes, clouded with despair, widened in disbelief. He took the hammer, but in his hands, it remained inert, just a common tool. When I took it back, it pulsed with light once more. The prophecy wasn't a myth. The humble tool was my hammer, and the hand of honest labor was mine. The realization was terrifying. Me? A simple apprentice, tasked with saving the world? It seemed impossible. But seeing the hope rekindle in Master Boren's eyes, and thinking of the fading light in our world, I knew I had to try. He told me the path to the Celestial Forge was treacherous, guarded by illusions and forgotten trials set by the ancients to protect the covenant. He gave me a satchel of provisions, his finest leather apron, and a look that said more than words ever could. He believed in me. The journey was more difficult than I could have imagined. The whispering woods were no longer welcoming. They were a maze of shadows that played tricks on the mind. Paths would vanish. and strange, sorrowful whispers echoed from trees that seemed to weep a viscous sap. One evening, trapped in a disorienting fog, I almost gave up. Despair was a cold, heavy blanket. I clutched my hammer, its familiar weight a final anchor to my purpose. As I did, its light flared, cutting through the thick mist and revealing the one true path forward. The hammer wasn't just the key to the forge, it was my guide. After days of travel, I reached the base of the mountain. The entrance to the Celestial Forge was sealed by a great stone door, covered in runes that shimmered with dark, corrupted energy. There was no handle, no keyhole. I recalled the legends. Only a true smith could pass. I thought of the countless hours I'd spent at the anvil, the rhythm of my work, the respect for the materials. I wasn't just hitting metal. I was shaping it, persuading it. I raised my hammer and instead of striking the door, I gently tapped a sequence of runes, mimicking the rhythm of my favorite forging song, the one Master Boren had taught me. The dark energy receded, and with a deep groan, the stone door rolled aside. Inside, the cavern was just as my dream had shown. The great crystal heart of the Covenant lay in the center, a web of dark fractures spreading across its surface, leaking shadows into the chamber. The air was cold, thin, and filled with the sound of cracking crystal. At the center of the fractures was the altar, and on it, the shattered remnants of what must have been the original celestial hammer. My task was clear. I had to reforge the Covenant. But how? I was a smith, not a mage. I approached the altar, my own hammer glowing so brightly it illuminated the entire cavern. I realized then that it wasn't about magic in the way the ethereals wielded it. It was about the magic of creation, the honest intent of a craftsman. My hammer wasn't enchanted. It was imbued with thousands of hours of dedication, purpose, and the simple, honest desire to make things whole. That was the magic the prophecy spoke of. Laying the shattered celestial pieces on the altar, which pulsed with a faint warmth, I knew what I had to do. It was a forge, and I was a smith. I didn't need fire. The altar itself provided the heat, responding to the proximity of my hammer. The broken pieces began to glow cherry red. I raised my hammer, my heart pounding in time with its rhythmic glow. I brought it down, not with force, but with the same practiced precision I used to forge a perfect sword. The first strike rang out, a clear, pure note that vibrated through the very stone. A sliver of darkness was pushed back. I struck again, and again, falling into the familiar rhythm of my craft. Each blow wasn't just mending the celestial metal. It was mending the broken promise, reaffirming the pact with every ounce of my being. With a final ringing strike, the celestial hammer was whole again. A blinding wave of pure white light erupted from the altar, washing over me and blasting out of the cavern. The crystal heart of the Covenant pulsed with a steady, brilliant rhythm, its fractures sealed, its light restored. The shadows dissolved, and the oppressive cold was replaced by a comforting warmth. I had done it. I had reforged the Covenant. Walking out of the mountain, I was met by a world reborn. The sun shone with a brilliance I'd never seen. The sky was a deep, impossible blue, and the air was filled with the sweet scent of blooming flowers. When I returned to Oakhaven, the celebration had already begun. The ever-lit lamps burned brighter than ever, and cheers erupted as I walked into the village square, my simple hammer resting on my shoulder. I was no longer just Alara, the apprentice. I was Alara, the hammersmith of the Covenant. My life would never be simple again, but as I looked at the joyful faces of my fellow villagers and the proud smile of Master Boren, I knew it was more than just a good life. It was a life of purpose, forged not just with steel, but with hope. Thank you for watching our story today. If you enjoyed this journey, please don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell for more tales from realms of fantasy. Until next time, May your own path be bright.